Good afternoon to you all and welcome to our first Knowledge Valorization talk. Our topic today is about the role of artificial intelligence in knowledge valorization and about harnessing the potential of digital technologies. My name is Maria Cristina Russo and I am the Director for Prosperity at the European Commission's Directorate General for Research and Innovation. I think that we can all agree that turning scientific knowledge into new products and solutions is a powerful way to tackle the most pressing challenges and strengthening the European Union's competitiveness at the same time. This is true, for example, when we try to mitigate the risks of climate change, but also applies to solving problems, for example, in health or food systems. The EU countries and the European Commission want to strengthen knowledge valorization in Europe. This resonates very well with the recommendation of Mr. Letta's report on the future of the single market. There is a broad consensus that we need to accelerate market uptake and the scale-up of innovation as we are facing a global competition. In this respect, I am confident that knowledge valorization plays a key role here. Just think about increased industry-academia collaboration or more efficient intellectual assets management. There are times when we really need to pool all our experience and tools together to draw more value from our research. This is why I'm really very glad to launch this new series of online talks where we openly discuss common challenges, latest trends and solutions in knowledge valorization. The first talk will focus on the fascinating topic of artificial intelligence. We are aware that artificial intelligence is helping us increasing the uptake of scientific knowledge. But how can we harness the power of artificial intelligence responsibly to create more value for society from excellent research? I encourage all of you to use this forum as a place for dialogue. We look forward to hearing about your experience, your ideas, and your best practices. You can also share your practices on the Knowledge Valorization platform. Together, we can make Europe as great in knowledge valorization as it is now in knowledge creation. I wish you a very fruitful discussion, and I hand over to Lars de Nul, Deputy Head of Unit for Industry 5.0 and Artificial Intelligence in Science at the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, and Lars will now chair this talk.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'm delighted to moderate today this first online EU knowledge valorization talk. As we just heard, this session is about the emerging role of artificial intelligence in knowledge valorization. My team at the Commission covers AI in science, which is how tools like ChatGPT can facilitate scientific work and accelerate discovery when used in a responsible way. We also recently published guidelines on this responsible use of artificial intelligence. But in this session, we will look at AI, artificial intelligence for knowledge valorization, and how AI and other digital tools can boost the use and the uptake of scientific results for creating economic and societal value. From results scouting to patent drafting and inventorship, we notice that AI can change the way in which universities and public research organizations manage their intellectual assets, but also identify commercial potential. AI can also help developing business plans or create matchmaking platforms with valorization partners and investors in view of market and societal uptake. Here at DG Research and Innovation, we consider use of AI for result scouting in our own Horizon Europe Research Framework program. The question is now, to what extent is a revolution underway? Who are offering and using these tools, and are they safe, reliable, and affordable? To respond to these questions, I would like to now introduce our distinguished speakers who are here with us today to share their views on this exciting topic. We have Anna Fabianska. She is a professor in computer science at Lodz University of Technology in Poland. She is also co-chair of the working group on AI in science of SAPEA, the Science Advice for Policy by European Academies. Her scientific research interests include digital image processing and analysis, machine vision, and AI, and in particular deep learning. Our second guest today is Gils. Gils Meijer is the CEO of Scout in Science, a Dutch AI-based tech transfer company offering in-house AI and machine learning algorithms to identify innovation. Gils has a background in business administration and in innovative entrepreneurship. It's a great pleasure to have both of you on the panel here today. Before giving you the floor and going to talk to Anna and Gils, I would like to inform you as the audience that a Slido session has been opened at hashtag EU Valorisation Talk, and I invite you to already ask questions for the upcoming Q&A session that we will have at the end of this Knowledge Valorisation Talk. With that being out of the way, Anna, I will turn to you, and I would like to ask you the first question. We talk a lot about AI in science, but do we sufficiently consider the aspects of knowledge uptake and valorization by society in that context? What kind of opportunities and challenges do you see are there?
Thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. This is indeed an important question, and while we talk a lot about artificial intelligence in the scientific and technological realms, the aspect of knowledge valorization and AI uptake is not always given the attention that it truly deserves. The focus tends to be more on scientific advancements, technological advancements, but not on how these can be utilized by the society and bring values to people's life. The opportunities of AI uptake are immense. Firstly, artificial intelligence has been expediting the research process in numerous ways, from advanced experimental data analysis towards literature-based discovery to experimental setup design. AI can analyze the vast amounts of data with unprecedented speed and precision, allowing faster discoveries and thus faster innovations. Enhanced public services is another field where AI-based innovations can have a profound impact. So AI has a potential to revolutionize healthcare or education, making them more accessible, personalized, and as efficient. Streamlining bureaucratic processes with AI can create more transparent government services. And also AI can contribute to achieving the sustainable development goals, for example, by reducing waste, optimizing energy consumption and resource management in sectors like agriculture, like transportation or manufacturing. Incorporated in industry, AI has a potential to boost economic growth. Startups and businesses leveraging AI can create new products and new services which can contribute to the economic growth and competitiveness. However, these opportunities come with the challenges, and one of the challenges is to ensure the equitable access to AI technologies across various socioeconomic groups, various regions, and various communities, including those underrepresented and marginalized. So tackling this challenge requires substantial investment in the infrastructure, in the dedicated trainings and services to ensure that benefits of AI are shared broadly and no groups are left behind. Additionally, the regulatory frameworks need to keep pace with fast-changing developments in technology, and the latter often outstrips the regulations, which may cause some uncertainty and hinder the valorization of AI by society. Thus, aligned, agile, forward-thinking regulatory frameworks are needed that can adapt to the changes, protect societal rights, but do not hinder the innovation. And finally, when talking about the uptake of AI, the privacy concerns and the data security cause problems, and misuse of AI, such as bias, such as discrimination, can undermine the public trust and hinder the valorization of AI by society. Therefore, there is a need for robust guidelines and transparent processes that would facilitate the uptake of trustworthy AI systems.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anna, for this very complete answer. I hear from you many opportunities, also many challenges, and a lot of work for everybody involved to advance this. Very interesting. We'll now turn to Gils. Gils, can I ask you to briefly present best practices of using AI for knowledge valorization, including science monitor and tech transfer scouting?
Yes. Yes, thank you. First of all, thanks for having me again. I was here, I guess, 1.5 years ago, and happy to and proud to present what we're doing again as a practical example. I think indeed there are a lot of opportunities with AI. That being said, I think what I'm going to present is not only AI, it's also big data, it's also making use of the existing infrastructure already, but then in a smarter way. I'll go and I'll use a few slides. So if I can go to the next slide. I can start talking a little bit about the challenge and maybe also the ambition that we put up on ourselves. And that's we want to double the tech transfer output. Like if you see what's happening right now, there's a lot of scientific research output. Last year we analyzed all Dutch scientific publications. There are 40,000 of them, and the current way of doing tech transfer is really reactive. It means that a researcher or professor group has to go to the tech transfer office, file for a patent, and then the whole process starts in hopefully making impact with their research. And what we also see sometimes it's in silos, right? So I literally saw examples of a research group working on the same topic as their neighbors, without knowing it from each other. So that's what we are trying to work on. And then on the right side, you see what we are coping with. So we work with individual universities, about 30 in Europe. But of course, if you talk about making impact with research, it's also important to include the industry. I'll come back to that. And the government as an important stakeholder. So if I can go to the next slide. So what we have built, so we started in 2020. By a simple understanding of like, okay, if we gonna analyze all these scientific papers and we do it manually, can we, let's say, separate the more impactful ones from the ones that are, for example, pretty fundamental? We were successful in doing that, and then we thought like, okay, if we can do it manually, as you mentioned in the introduction, my background is in business administration, so I'm not a computer science guy. Our simple explanation was like, then we should also be able to do it automatically. And that's why we started building software, hire AI developers, and what we're doing currently is analyzing all this scientific output and rank them based on what we call tech transfer potential. I think that's the most important thing from this slide that I wanted to mention. And if we can go to the next slide, you will see that how we started it was really a tool for individual tech transfer offices. And what we're building right now is what you call way more of a monitor. So we see that there was already a lot of data available, patent data, European subsidy data, national subsidy data, research publications, conference journals. And we collect that all together and trying to highlight the funnel of scientific research towards valorization. So we start at the beginning at scientific publications, and we want to end in, okay, what's the real impact that's being made with this research? Well, maybe this picture sounds like, okay, this is a monitor, everybody can build that, but if I can go to the next slide, I'll try to wrap up my story by saying like, okay, I think what we can do, but there's also some call up maybe also for the people in who are watching this, is like, we cannot do it alone, but I think we are building a database. There are existing tools for that, like the European Patent Office. We are using OpenAlex for the scientific publications. And in the middle part, that's what we are doing right now. So we have our own business potential score. But since this data is scattered all around the internet, we have to get the right definitions. Like, okay, if we see a publication, which domain is it in? If we see a patent, which domain is it in? Because then you can start comparing. So that's, I think, also very important to mention with this monitoring tool. That is not only putting data together, but also put a layer on top of that you can actually compare, and in the end also use it for policy making, maybe even. Well, and that's the final thing. So you can use it for tech transfer. Okay, out of these 40,000 papers, which ones are actually the interesting ones to pick up? You can use it as a monitoring tool, as I just explained. And I'm very excited also that I can share that we are now also working on a matchmaking tool. And I think the keyword that I want to close off my story with is also being proactive. So we are proactively scouting in research, but we can also proactively matchmake between research and maybe the people behind the research, so the talents, and the industry. And I think we are at the start of this. So, for example, we are able to predict the technology readiness level, but we also want to build it further in, for example, societal readiness level. So not only for tech transfer, but also for knowledge transfer. So again, thanks. This was a short intro with a few visualizations, and I'm happy to answer the other questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Giels, for this concrete example of how AI can help in tech transfer, knowledge valorization in a very concrete way. I would like to turn again to Anna now and ask you whether you are aware of universities in Poland or beyond that use this type of AI-based tools that support knowledge valorization.
So there is a shortage of the tools dedicated specifically for the technology transfer and the knowledge valorization, specifically in the Central and Eastern Europe. However, colleagues at my university technology transfer office has been resourceful in using general AI tools for searching for technology transfer opportunities. So specifically, they've been using large language models that they query with the prompt format that they developed. So they engineered the prompt, providing the context, the technology details, and the query search to obtain the list of potential investors, the potential companies. The list is next verified by the technology transfer offices. And this kind of approach, although not dedicated specifically for technology transfer, has proven to be successful, describing or suggesting the companies that would have not been considered otherwise. I also believe that there is a huge potential of these kind of tools based on LLMs to improve the presentation of the technologies to the prospective investors. So I imagine that this kind of tools could be used to draft compelling invitations presenting the technology targeted towards the interests of the companies that could be gained, for example, from online resources like annual company reports, corporate announcement, or news flows. AI could also facilitate reaching not only the certain company, but the decision maker within the company to streamline reaching directly to the particular person. And I also see potential in analyzing the regulations within the particular countries that could facilitate or hinder the implementation of the particular technology. So to summarize, there is a shortage of dedicated tools specifically for the technology transfer, but the creative use of general tools based on AI is showing the promise. But it seems that the technology transfer area is ripe to innovation.
Thank you very much, Anna. I turn to Giels in a follow-up question. If I'm employed in a knowledge transfer office, KTO, at a university or a public research institute, how useful are openly available commercial AI tools for my work in the direction that Anna just pointed out? I would think of patent filing, matchmaking, etc. Can they really make a difference there?
Yes, for sure. I think the short answer is I think at one of my slides I also said the current the current scope that tech transfer officers have is that they know about 25-30% of the research going on in their own university. And that has to do with the lack of resources. So sometimes there's a small tech transfer officer that have to keep track of the whole university. That's, of course, impossible to do. So let alone that you also want to compare yourself to peers or benchmarking, or you want to know your competitive field as a tech transfer office. So I would really encourage them by making use of these tools, whether you use our tool or open source tools, but I think there's a lot to do. I think in the legal part of tech transfer office, I think there's still a lot to be done manually, but especially in scouting, in creating business cases, in filing for innovation disclosure forms. I think you can already do 80-90% with help of these kind of tools. And that's also why I'm not stressing that we are purely an AI company. Like, we're also experimenting with large language models. And if we find out that one of them is working better than our, let's say, business potential score or our prediction for the technology readiness level, we trying to incorporate that. So I would really encourage them to at least experiment with it. Hire young people who are used to these kind of things, because if you are pretty smart in creating these prompts, as also Anna was already mentioning, I think it makes at least your life easier, and don't see it as a threat.
Thank you very much. Next question to both of you. We can maybe start with Anna, but it's directed at the both of you. What further challenges do you see in the use of AI by other disciplines or sectors? And there are a range of aspects to be covered there. It can be on awareness, can be on ethics, confidentiality, security, intellectual property rights, etc. Anna, maybe we can start with you.
Well, as the main challenge related to the usage of AI, I would point the struggles to access the computational infrastructure. Because the infrastructure is needed, AI computing infrastructure is needed to develop the state-of-the-art approaches, but the researchers are struggling with getting this access because it's costly. On the other hand side, or simultaneously, there are a few big tech companies which are heavily investing in the infrastructure, providing the state-of-the-art models, but gatekeeping the access to these models, which can create the inequality in research. As the challenge, I would also point the reproducibility of the research. So reproducibility of the research means that independent researchers using the same methods could obtain or should obtain more or less the same results. However, reproducing the main developments is getting harder without the ability to access the data that was used for training the model, and with the ability to know the model details to reproduce this research. Also, the transparency of AI-based models, is also the challenge, because even if those models provide the useful output, and it seems correct, it's pretty difficult today to understand the rationale behind the outputs and verify the validity of the results, whether they indeed refer to the phenomenon that we were intended to measure. Other group of challenges relates to the data that is used for training. So the data is the knowledge for the models about the world that they going to measure. So if the data is not sufficiently representative, if it does not cover all the real-world scenarios, then some groups might be excluded from the technology. For example, people with different communication styles, with different facial expressions, with some speech impairment. So this can exclude them from using the technology, or even, in some cases, be harmful for them. The data used for training AI models can also perpetuate biases. So if the data is biased, if there is the discrimination in the data, those AI models will also strengthen this discrimination and this bias, reinforcing it. So additionally, well, maybe we could point also the inequality to the research access and the distribution of research results. So there seems to be the trend that research in AI is dominated by the big companies who maximize inflow from the academia, but minimize the outflows, keeping their solutions in secrecy.
Thanks very much. Gilles, to you the same question. Challenges for the use of AI?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are these obvious challenges indeed, like biases and maybe potentially discriminating with AI. My counter argument usually is like the traditional way of doing this right now is also pretty biased, because if you are coming from an entrepreneurial research group, you're usually you have a head start over, let's say, an undiscovered research group who wants to apply for funding or for a patent or something like that. So I don't want to say that I don't take these challenges not seriously, but I take them very seriously. But I think it's still better than our traditional way of working. So I would really see and highlight the potential of using them instead of focusing too much on the challenges. I think another maybe light on these challenges for using AI that is going so quick. We have a few AI developers in our company, and sometimes I ask like, hey, is there something new that I should know about? And every day there are new plugins, new models, new tools that you can use. And I can imagine that if you want to start using AI, that you don't know where to start and which one can you trust. So I think there need to be more education, more awareness for these kind of AI. Also in Europe, like, okay, maybe some guidelines or some sort of tools, how to use them and how to keep track of them. So I think that's maybe another light on what Anna was saying, but yeah, that would be my 2 cents on this topic.
Very interesting, thank you very much. I want to ask both of you another question that I think both of you can cover aspects of. Do you see the transversal in specific skills in terms of AI literacy that researchers and other R&I actors should have to benefit from generative AI as a key enabling technology? So it's a question about skills and background knowledge. Anna, can you enlighten us on that?
So definitely researchers and other research and innovation actors need to develop multifaceted set of skills that would let them use, apply and incorporate artificial intelligence in their workflows. The first is AI literacy, which basically means the understanding of the fundamental concepts underlying AI solutions, understanding how they work, in which scenarios can they be applied and in which they cannot be applied, and also what are their limitations. As we talk about generative AI, the critical thinking would also be the skill needed to assess the creditability and relevance of the outputs generated by AI models. Ethical awareness is needed for the researchers and research innovation actors to navigate issues like bias, like data privacy and accountability. And also to fully leverage the potential of AI as the technology that boosts capabilities of the users. The users need to effectively communicate with this system. So this is another skill that needs to be developed. In the case of generative AI, it's going to be the prompt engineering that we both already mentioned. Some data literacy in management and collecting the data would also be needed. And along with these technical skills, the transversal skills that I would mention is the teamwork and the collaboration between the disciplines, because developing and deploying the AI-based system requires collaboration of AI experts, data scientists, domain experts, policymakers, stakeholders, and all of them need to communicate effectively between the disciplines. So communication skills and also the ability to communicate about AI-based solutions to the technical audiences in the understandable way. And paying the attention to the fast-changing advancements in the AI technology, the ability to adapt, the lifelong learning abilities are also indispensable. And as we talk about innovation, I think that some entrepreneurship skills and innovation-driven mindset would be very helpful to transform the AI-based concepts into the tangible solutions.
Thank you very much, Gilles. For you, transversal and specific skills for AI.
Yeah, it's hard to get the second question because I think Anna told already a lot. So, but maybe I can summarize it in curiosity, right? So if you ever tried, for example, something like ChatGPT, you will notice that the more curious you are, the better results you get, and it's going so quickly. So maybe again from another perspective, but I think also for children, for kids, let them play with AI. Of course, in a risk-free environment, because I think that's also very important to be aware of the fact, like, okay, who are you giving your data to, right? Is it big tech again? Is it an AI model in Europe, or is it something that you can trust? Do you want to build it yourself? So I think it's very important to, maybe it sounds like a paradox, right? On the one hand, you want to play and be curious and use different prompts, learn from that, share it with each other. On the other hand, be aware of what you are doing and who gets access to your curiosity. And I think if you can combine that a little bit, I think then we are on the right track, because in the end we were here in Brussels and we are speaking for the EU. We want to compete with China and the US, right? And I think we can do that by being smarter, because China has more access to data, the US is maybe also more capital intensive sometimes. So I think we have to be smarter, and I think it starts also at the beginning. Children, primary schools, secondary schools, let them play with AI.
Thank you very much for this message at European level. I would now like to turn to the audience, because the audience has been active on Slido and has been asking questions for our speakers here today. Gilles, can we start with a question for you? Somebody in the audience is asking, if you train a model on existing technology transfer historical data, is there a risk that you always reproduce similar matching with the same stakeholders?
Yes. I hope I understand the question correctly, but otherwise feel free to reach out. But I think the thing with using AI and training your models on existing data is always that it could be biased by the history, right? So that's already something that we both highlighted, Anna and me. On the other hand, I think if we're talking about matchmaking, the way I presented matchmaking today is between, let's say, researchers, students, and industry. I think that goes further than saying, like, hey, we have a topic over here. Somebody is, my colleague does something in medical coding. There is a student, he or she is graduated on this topic. Let's match them together. If you do that, yeah, then you always reproduce similar stuff, because then you're always trying to match with the same industrial players. What we try to do is also have some sort of matchmaking readiness level. So we not only want to match it to a medical coating company, because there are more out there in the Netherlands, for example, but you also want to see, like, okay, what kind of companies are behind that? What kind of job openings do they have? What kind of challenges do they have on the website? What are they presenting on LinkedIn? All these kind of data to make better matches. And I think especially with matchmaking, it's a multi-sided platform. So research will change, student outputs will change, industry changes. So I think over there, I don't see the risk of it is a risk, but we are aware of that, and I think we can cope with it. I think what's more important also to stress is, like, the model it's a language model that we created, which means that it doesn't matter if, for example, Anna wrote a paper or me wrote a paper. That's not what we see. So we only see the results of a paper. So in that case, it's pretty unbiased. That being said, we are making use of the peer-reviewed research system. So of course, you score higher points in our algorithm if you published in Nature in comparison to a local journal, let's say. But then again, that's already also biased in the traditional world. So I think what we are doing is being aware of that and trying to cope with it, explain it. But I think it's a fair question from this audience.
Okay, thanks
Hopefully
very
I
much.
could answer it. Yeah.
I think we have time for another question from the audience. A question for Anna. Some gurus consider current generative AI is more a glorified pattern in probability computing. So it's finding probability patterns. It's a computing system. Is there a place for innovation when repeating such patterns? It goes a bit in the line of the question to Gilles, I think, as well.
Well, I believe that there is a place for innovation because generative AI can also link ideas with each other. We as researchers are not able to read all the papers that appear and connect all the ideas with, that appear within these papers. But based on the literature-based discovery, or using this generative AI for literature-based discovery or for hypothesis generation, there is the potential to provide the hypotheses that might have not been proposed by the researchers who are not able to read all the literature that is already available. So although I agree that the generative AI repeats some patterns, I also see the certain potential for getting new ideas, of course, to be verified and assessed against their creditability.
Thank you very much. We are unfortunately already approaching the end of our session, which is why I would like to ask you for some concluding remarks and some final statements and messages. What would you like to say as a final key message, Anna?
Well, artificial intelligence has a potential to uncover the value of knowledge. However, this requires a solid basis, and the European Union can play a pivotal role in shaping this backbone. Investing in AI infrastructure, investing in cutting-edge research on AI, and fostering the startup ecosystem can create a fertile ground for innovation. Regulatory frameworks which prioritize trustworthy and ethical AI but do not hinder innovation are very important. There is an also need to connect and bridge the gap between the research and application by facilitating collaboration between different sectors to accelerate the real-world applications of AI. And finally, there is a need to equip public with AI literacy. And through education and the open dialogue, the public can be a competitive partner for shaping the future of AI.
Thank you very much for those very important key messages. Gilles, key messages from you?
Yeah, thanks. I think if I can use one word, it's again proactive, I guess. So I can relate that to the company that we are building. Like, we want to proactive scout, and we have the tools for that. We want to proactively matchmake between research and industry, between research and investors. And I think that's something that's a different mindset, because we are not used to that, I guess. And if I talk about we, I talk about the stakeholders in a broader setting. Because you can also see that from, for example, subsidy perspective. Like, usually it's a tender, but you can also find out, hey, what are the 10 leaders in this industry, research industry, let's invite them, and let's come up with new solutions for these kind of challenges without being too biased and keep it open for the rest. So I think that's something that I want to stress again, but also from a broader perspective, I think being proactive also means, like, we have to start with AI, with using it, experimenting it. And I think Anna and I are on the same page for that. And the fact that we're talking about this means also that the European level is also aware of that. So I think that's my key message. Just, whether it's our tool, the existing tools, let's start doing it, and we can create so much more impact.
Thank you so much, Anna and Gilles, for your time, for your insights. Thanks also to the audience for watching this first EU Knowledge Valorisation talk. We hope that you found it interesting. Please stay tuned for our next EU talk on the 24th of September. And that will be on research in action, how to define, measure and communicate the societal impact of your work. With that, thanking again my guests, I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day.